Boston wins Game 3, 2-1. Take a commanding 3-0 series lead in this one's over the Hurricanes in Carolina, where up until this point they went 5-0 in the series. So this is their first loss in the playoffs. Curtis McElhinney also started this game. That's of importance, kind of. No, it is. It is important. And then Tuukka Rask. Coming into this game and coming out of this game, he leads every goalie in wins, in save percentage, in goals against. I don't know, name a few stats. He leads in them because it's just impossible, to get one past this guy. But the goal that does get past him in this game is kind of a funny one. So let's start with the first period where there's 10 penalties, 10, and Justin Williams takes 3 of them. Now, mind you, one of them is an offsetting roughing call. Him and Krug had something going on all game long. He takes another penalty. What was it? Holding the stick was against him as well. And I don't know what he's doing. Now, Boston took 6 penalties in the first, and Carolina took 4. And 3 of those were the Williams. And as the captain, ever since Marchand got his stick up in Williams' face in Game 2, and then there was no call, and Williams immediately took a penalty for getting in Marchand's face, who goaded him into the penalty in the first place and then mocked him afterwards. He's been a very different player. He looks bitter in this one. And I know he's got lots of playoff experience, 18 years of it. During the intermission, Don Cherry says he's never seen Williams so fired up, and this is a good thing. And Marchand should have poked the bear in Game 2, and that Carolina's probably going to win this one. And yeah, they didn't. And I have mixed feelings about Don Cherry. I've been watching him since I was a kid, so he's nostalgic for me. I like him that way. But boy, I just can't agree with him on this. How can you be the captain and being such a valuable player piece on the ice as well as on the bench? How can that be a benefit when you're taking a penalty? 3 of them against a team like Boston, who has not only one of the top power plays during the regular season, but the best by far in the playoffs right now. So yeah, there's that. So that's the first period. There's no goals. There's nothing more else to say. And of course, Carolina can't score on their power plays. And some of them actually look good, but still, I believe, they had 33 shots on net in the first period. But 13 of them missed the net entirely. 13! So they ended up getting 20. That's if you do the math. They got 20 shots on that in the first period alone. And they just couldn't solve Rask. It was amazing. He looked like he had a big piece of plexiglass behind him. And remember that old NHL commercial promoting the playoffs back in, I want to say, the early 90s with Mike Richter, where he's just stopping everything, all these shots and these dekes, and nothing's going past him. And then as he's skating away from the net, he kind of knocks the middle of the net, and you can see he's hitting a big piece of plexiglass. No? Maybe that was just in the States, or I was living down there at the time. I digress. Let's move on to the second period. Because Wagner scores. Yeah. He's from the fourth line. And they're looking really good in this series. The third and the fourth line look fantastic in this series. Wagner is left completely unchecked in front of the net. A Hurricane player turns it over. Curley gets it to Nordstrom, who finds Wagner all alone. Falk has his back to him, misses him, and McElhinney has no chance. He knocks it in the corner. He's kind of cherry-picking in a way. Who cares? Boston goes up 1-0, right? And that's not the end of it, because Carolina takes a couple more penalties in the second period. Wow. And Marchand gets his 6th of the playoffs on the power play, assisted by Krejci and McAvoy. This one also wasn't McElhinney's fault, because Nahhhh is on the ice during this penalty kill, and he goes down to block Marchand's, I believe, his backhand. Marchand has this sort of dipsy doodle thing where it looks like he's going to shoot and he doesn't, and he puts it on the backhand. He scored, I want to say, at least a few of his goals in the playoffs like that, and in numerous ones during the regular season. Krejci gets a piece of it. Nahhhh, the Carolina defenseman, gets a piece of it with his hand, but he deflects it, and it throws McElhinney off, and it goes in. So it's 2-0, and of course it takes the crowd right out of it, and they were loud tonight. They were really, really loud. Those rumors, they're true. And then later on in the period, on a face-off, Carolina's getting spanked in the face-offs. It ends up being 36-27 during the game. So they didn't get slaughtered, but in a face-off, the puck goes right to Falk, who gets it to Nahhhh, who takes a simple slap shot from, I want to say, high or the middle of the circle on the left-hand side. And Rask, there's no one in his way. He has full sight of it, and it just goes through his legs. And he seems to be closing his pads in time and everything. It just kind of squeezes through there, and you can see he's just like, what? Why is everyone celebrating? How did that go in? So a bit of a strange week one, but yeah, it didn't ruffle his feathers, because we go into the third period and Carolina has got plenty of opportunities. They pepper him with shots, including a lot of high danger grade A chances. Part of that, which comes off of having an empty net by pulling McElhinney in the last couple of minutes, and nada, zip, zero, zilch, do they score on him. Now, Boston does actually has a goal called back in the third period. I'm sort of stepping back on this one, and this is because DeBrusk is skating partially through the crease and knocks McElhinney and drags him out of the net, and the goal goes in, and the ref immediately calls it back. Oh my God, I forgot the Boston coach's name for a second. Cassidy. He calls it a review, risks his timeout. Why not at this point? And they review it, and they say, yeah, they uphold the call. It's still no goal, and that gives a little bit of a jolt to the crowd and to the Hurricanes, but nothing, of course, comes of it. In the dying minutes, I want to say Wagner. On that, remember him from the fourth line there? He blocks a shot, and I think it hits him in the elbow area, forearm area, and it looks bad. He's just in real pain on the bench, and he ends up skating off soon afterwards with an upper body injury. Again, that third and fourth line of Boston's is just killing it. They're getting a lot of good looks, and of course we're talking about the third line. Johansson, Coyle, and Heinen, and the fourth line, Curley, Wagner, and Backus, I believe. And another interesting thing about this game is the perfect line, you know who I'm talking about, Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak, were kind of kept in check for most of this game by the Stahl line, which consists of Svechnikov and Teravainen. And they actually had better and more chances in the offensive zone than the team they were checking. Because every time Bergeron's line came on, Stahl's line came on. And yeah, that was an interesting matchup in the game. Another couple of side notes here. Clifton and Krug looked really dangerous in this game. Clifton especially almost did like a Bobby Orr from end to end / Paul Coffey. Now, let's talk about team stats here. I mentioned the face-offs already. Boston wins at 36-27. Power play, Carolina goes 0 for 5. Boston 1 for 5. Hey, at least they killed off 4 Bruins power plays. That's kind of special. But their power play, they even had, it was a weird one. Carolina had a 4-on-3 at one point. Yeah, in this game, and I don't think that's ever happened in this playoff so far. And then they also have had maybe for less than a minute a 5-on-3 and still couldn't score. Now I think maybe one of those chances, one of those power plays, two of them maybe have been a bit dangerous. The others not so much. Hits were 35-24 for Carolina. The giveaways 15-4 for Carolina. They gave away the puck 15 times. That's a problem. You know, imagine if they could just cut that down in half, where this game might be. Takeaways were 17-11 for Carolina. Block shots were 16-13 for Boston. Shots, first period, were 20-6 for the Hurricanes in the first. In the second, it was 18-6 for Boston. Just flip that coin there. In the third, it was 10-7 for the Carolina Hurricanes. And the total shots were 36-31 for Carolina. Goalies in this. Rask saves 35-36 with a .972 save percentage. He's now 11-5. He's got to be in the Carolina's head right now. And how do you score on this guy? I mean, yeah, you can say that slap shot from Nahhhh, that goal, gave him a little hope because it was a weak goal. But afterwards, he was like, yeah, well, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll just go back to making unbelievable saves for the rest of the night. And he did. So 11-5, Rask. So 2 of those losses came against Columbus, and 3 of them came against the Maple Leafs. Just a little fairy dust there for Maple Leaf fans who are listening. The loss went to McElhinney, who saved 29-31 with a .935 save percentage on this night, and he's now 3-1. His first loss in the playoffs, and he looked really good. I expect him to play him in Game 4. And those goals, neither of those goals can be blamed on him at all. Now, I have a new category here. It's the penalty chart. First period, of course, I told you already, Boston took 6 penalties to Carolina's 4. In the second, Carolina took 2 to Boston's 0. And in the third period, each team took 1 apiece. And the total penalties were 7 apiece. Coincidence? I wonder. 3 stars of the night. Rask, of course, took the number 1 star with that .972 save percentage. Wagner gets the second one with a goal, a +1, and 10:26 of ice time, and possibly a broken or fractured forearm. We'll see. Let's see who they bring in if he can't make it for Game 4. The third star of the night is Nahhhh, of course, who gets the lone goal for Carolina. He's also a +1 and has 14:50 of ice time. Slavin, Falk, and Pesce each had, I want to say, 25 minutes or more. And Fleury, who's the 6th defenseman, I don't even know if he got 6 minutes of ice time. Maybe not even 5. They're really kind of missing Van Riemsdyk right about now, who's gone for, the rest of the season, rest of the playoffs. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the game and what happened. What do you think? Are Bruins going to sweep this? Are they going to take the next one? Because it kind of looks that way. I hope Carolina puts up a bit more of a fight. Maybe make this, at least a 6-gamer. But hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hey, if you happen to have any Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.